Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Goodwill Columbus Work and Community Services. My name is Curtis, and today's topic of discussion is being safe at work. This is a workplace safety training that was put together last year, and it is a requirement for all individuals who want to join my mobile work crews because being safe while you're working is key to being successful and obviously not hurting yourself, but not hurting others as well. Uh, you know, we only have one body. Some of us already have issues coming into work, and we need to do what we can to protect ourselves. Um, and it's as someone that has knee and back problems, the last thing I want to do is try to lift something incorrectly. That's just going to further my difficulties in life, and it's going to ruin any kind of semblance of calm I have at home. So obviously, I want to work smarter and work safer, and because it not only keeps me safe, but it keeps me as a reliable partner to somebody that I'm working with. Um, and I don't know about you guys. I don't like getting hurt because I don't like pain. So if I can work safe, then I'm not going to be in pain. Then I'm going to be a happy camper. So, like it says, working smarter, not harder, to keep you safe in the workplace. So, what is safety? Safety is the condition of being protected from or unlikely to cause danger, risk, or injury. They should leave for their own safety. The survivors were airlifted to safety. That guy is working really safe. Okay, so safe is the key word of safety. Safety is your responsibility. All right, let's see how this goes through. All right. You have to forgive me as we kind of work through here. This is the first time I've done a PowerPoint um, with an embedded video. So you'll have to let me know how that came through so I can improve things in the future. So, workplace safety, safety first, work environment, protection, health, accident, precaution, workplace, employee injury, risk. Oh my, there's a lot to consider when trying to work safely and promote safety at work. There's so many different things to consider. So, what causes accidents?
Gives us plenty of warning.
99.5% of workplace accidents are by human error. That is an astounding number. So here are 10 workplace safety tips. Number 10, immediately report incidents. Anytime something happens, even if you're afraid you're going to get in trouble, they need to be reported immediately. Time is of the essence when documenting any kind of incident that has happened at work. By not reporting things, you are committing failure to report, which is a whole other issue altogether. We can't fix anything if we don't know it's happening. Know where the first aid box location is. That should always be one of the first things that you're shown on a tour when you begin a job, in case you or your person working with you, your coworker, someone gets hurt and you need to know where that first aid box is so you can run and get it if ordered to do so. 8, be vigilant. Being vigilant is being aware and constantly knowing your environment, where your coworkers are, where obstacles are. We had an individual who shall remain nameless, but tends to get hurt a lot because they're not vigilant. When you are sweeping a warehouse floor and you come upon a spot that you need to sweep, but you can't see, you need to get some light in that area and you need to report it. So that way you're not just stepping into a blind spot and taking a nail to the foot. Not appropriate. And it's definitely not safe. You want to take regular breaks. You should not be working yourself to exhaustion. Your body is only human and can only handle so much stuff. So you really have to take some breaks to let your body rest, recover. You've got to rehydrate on those hot days. Maybe get something warm on those cold days, or get out of the cold temperatures to warm up a little bit. Being alert on the job. Heads on a swivel. I know it doesn't make sense right now because you're not out on you may not even be interested in working in a warehouse, but you should always be alert as to what's going on. Especially if you're in a warehouse environment, there are forklifts running all over the place. Sure, most of them honk their horns. Not all of them do. Sometimes the driver can't see appropriately and might be driving with mirrors, and those mirrors don't have full vision of everything that's around them. Plus, you never know what's right around the corner. There could be a spill on the floor, and you just walk blindly around the corner and hit that spill, and boom, next thing you know, you're on the ground. Know where the emergency exit locations are. In case something happens and there unfortunately is a fire or something, you need to know how to get out of the building as quickly as possible. Take, for example, a few years back here in Columbus, we had that giant pallet company in the southwest side of Columbus go up in flames. If you're in an environment like that, you need to know where those emergency exits are so you can get out of the building as quickly and safely as possible. Clean and organized work area. This is especially true for the mobile work crew to the warehouse. I always try to get my area organized and make it clean before I even start. Then make sure that any excess pallets that are laying around, I make sure that they're stacked up neatly. If there's any broken down Gaylord boxes, I need to get those stacked up neatly and out of the way. If there's an extra pallet jack laying around, I need to move it out to a safe area so that way I'm not tripping over stuff and my coworker's not tripping over stuff. Definitely, when you're operating a compactor, you need to make sure the area is clean. There's no debris in there that could cause problems with the compactor or could be crushed and come flying back out of the compactor. Clean up when you're done working. Yeah, I just got done talking about what I do when I get to a job site, but you don't want to leave a mess for the next crew. You want to get everything swept up off the floor, stacked up neatly, and ready for the next crew. It takes everybody to be organized and to clean up and be alert, all those things. Don't take shortcuts. Just because that Gaylord looks light and you have lifted several of them before doesn't mean that you should be lifting it by yourself all the time, anyways. Team lift. Bend at the knees. You know, you're not lifting with your back, you're lifting with your legs. Don't just go in there and manhandle it and expect not to get hurt. Follow all safety precautions. OSHA is the organization that puts together the workplace safety, and it's a bunch of regulations that a lot of facilities have to follow. These precautions are put in place to keep workers' safety. If you don't know what they are, then you need to ask your training specialist or your work crew leader what they are at the specific job site that you were at. Now we're going to go over the top 10 lifting rules. Okay. Please use two hands. Keep your elbows. There we go. I apologize about the jump. For some reason it paused. All right. Now that we got through those, now, do you know the safety rules? So, first off, I'm going to read through the right, which are 10 rules for workplace safety. And then I'm going to ask you some questions on the left. So, oh, maybe they go hand in hand. You know what? It's been a while since I've seen this one. Haha. Well, you know me. We've been doing this for the last 2 months. You should be used to it by now. So, who is responsible for your safety? If we look over at number one on the right, we know that you are responsible for your own safety and for the safety of others. You can't just assume that somebody else is looking out for you. You have to look out for yourself and for the safety of others through your actions. Number 2, are accidents preventable? Yes, all accidents are preventable if you are following along with the proper protocol. Number 3, should you take shortcuts to get it done faster? Oh, we just heard about this. Do not take shortcuts. Always follow the rules. You know why we have rules, right? Yes, rules are in place because someone else got hurt by not doing what the rule is telling you not to do. Just like laws and signs and safety warnings that we see all over the place in the world today. Yes, McDonald's coffee is hot. Beware. Why is that on there? Because somebody spilled hot coffee on themselves. It's hot coffee. Otherwise, it would be called cold coffee. All right. Is there training you have not received? If you are not trained, don't do it. Should you operate a forklift without proper forklift training? No. One of my previous jobs working at a lumber yard, one of the other facilities owned by the same company, there was a forklift driver that was killed because he was not wearing his safety harness when delivering a load of lumber to a job site, and the forklift toppled over. It was a Moffett, so it's even more precarious sometimes on uneven ground. It toppled over, he fell out, it landed on him and killed him. So you really have to be careful, and if you are not trained, don't do it. So what are the tools we use for our jobs? We always want to use the right tools and equipment and use them in the right way. There's just a couple tools that we use for the warehouse mobile crew. We have the pallet jack, which is a hand-operated manual lift, pneumatic lift, used to move gaylords full of waste from their spot on the work floor into the compactor chute. The next tool that we use is the compactor. We're loading stuff into the compactor. And then we have a claw, which helps us retrieve items that might have fallen into the compactor. Say the gaylords, we try to recycle gaylords. That is a very environmentally friendly thing to do, and it's also a cost-saving measure. So we have the claw to help us get those items out. You have to be very aware of how to use that so you're not hitting your coworker with a sharp metal object. Now, these are some of the tools that we use at the warehouse. In the store, there's not too much that we use. We use shopping carts, hangers, carts. Most of what we do at the Dublin store is we handle merchandise, and we're pulling that merchandise from shelves. So there's not too much equipment that we use on the mobile crew to the retail stores. Number 6, do you check the work site before you start? Should always assess the risks before you approach your work. Walking up to the compactor zone. Is the path to the compactor chute clear? Are there tripping hazards in the way? Is the compactor in the correct off position? Is the gate closed? Is there a bunch of waste in the compactor that needs to be taken care of? These are all things that we need to handle, especially, is there debris on the floor that could cause something to happen to the pallet jack as you're trying to get a pallet or move a gaylord into the chute for the compactor? At the stores, you always want to make sure that you've got the right equipment for the job, that your area that you're working in is clear, that there's not a lot of pedestrian traffic around that could potentially get hurt if you would drop something. And even today, to maintain proper social distancing guidelines, you want to make sure that you have proper distance at the work area. So what is the proper attire for your job? Well, you never want to wear loose clothes or slippery footwear. At the warehouse, you definitely want to have steel toe boots, and you want to have the the non-slip soles on them. Sometimes when it rains, rainwater tends to find a way into a lot of things. It can make the floor in the compactor chute slippery. Having the right footwear will help prevent you from having a slip fall injury. You definitely, you don't want to have any loose clothing. You don't want to have things that get caught in places. If you got long hair, you want to make sure it's tied back so it's not getting in your face, getting in your line of sight, disrupting your vision. Plus, you want to make sure that your face is neat and groomed so that way you don't have a beard that's getting in the way of your mask that you're wearing for safety. All right, should you horseplay while at work? Oh, this one's a tough one. You want to try to have fun while working, but you don't want to horseplay. Do not indulge in horseplay while at work. You could get hurt. You could be distracted. You could fall over something. You could fall onto something. You could fall into something. Or you could hurt your coworker. It's just never a good thing to do. One time, people got so distracted. Oh, you know what? We'll save this for the next one. How do you clean the job site? Practicing good housekeeping is a great way to protect, or yeah, to protect you against workplace accidents. You know, stacking the pallets in the Gaylords up, sweeping the floor, putting the pallet jack away, making sure that there's not an extra one in the area, um, putting things back where they belong. Though it didn't hurt anybody, somebody left a pair of pliers on the door track for the overhead door that is used to lock up the building at night. And when the automatic overhead door came down, it buckled because it hit that wrench and stopped. Had the people that was working that job that night properly cleaned up and put everything back where it belonged, then that wouldn't have happened. What also wouldn't have happened if they were putting the pliers away properly to begin with, we wouldn't have been having this discussion at all. And what PPE do we wear at work? Personal protective equipment. This is even more valuable information in today's pandemic environment in which wearing masks is an everyday thing even outside of work. It's tough when you're working in a hot warehouse environment to wear a mask while working. It has the potential to restrict airflow. It has the potential to, I don't know about you, but that warm air that you're breathing out and getting sucked back in can take your breath away. But it's also very vital for, dusty environments. You don't want to be inhaling dust particles into your lungs. That's not healthy. You want to have proper eye protection wear in case, there's dust flying around. You don't want that dust in your eyes. When you're operating the compactor, you got to wear eye protection in case something breaks off as it's being compacted into the dumpster. You don't want it flying back out and getting you. You got two eyes, you can lose one and be okay, but it's not okay. It's you definitely, I don't know about you, but I like having two eyes and I like doing what I can to protect them. Eye transplants are not really a very well done thing right now. So let's take care of our eyes so we can see everything as naturally as possible because it's very hard to take an inventory of your work area if you can't see properly because you weren't taking care of your eyes. If you're in an area that requires a hard hat, wear the hard hat. The last thing you want to do is get smacked in the top of the head with something because you weren't wearing your hard hats. These things are very important. You never know what's going to happen. You can't predict when things are going to happen, but you can try to follow as many safety rules as you can, and you're going to live a very long, successful life free of injury by doing so. So when you first get to the job site, here's a cute little video. Ah, there we go. Oh, this PowerPoint's tricky today, isn't it? Safety reminder, leave work today exactly as you came, in one piece. Very valuable. You know, I want to be able to go home in just as good a condition as I came in, because then I know that I have done everything in my power to be safe. And my coworkers did everything they can to be safe. I've worked some mean jobs, and I've taken my falls, I've taken my stumbles, and 9 times out of 10 it's because I wasn't paying attention or somebody that I was working with wasn't paying attention and I got hurt. Definitely, you have to be vigilant about everything. You can't rely on everybody else as much as we want to. You have to be able to rely on yourself that you're doing everything you can to be safe, and in turn that's going to help your coworkers be safe as well. How do you protect your hands? We've only got two hands, and as much as I would love to be ambidextrous, uh, I am right-handed, so I use my right hand for the majority of the tasks that I do. I write, I play games, I do this, I do that. Everything is with my right hand. My left hand is there, and it can help me do things like lifting and operating certain tools that require two hands. But I'm definitely right hand dominant, and I have to protect them as much as I can. I've gotten cuts, scrapes, punctures on my hands, but you have to do what you can to protect them, and that includes wearing the correct, proper protection on them. Let's see this video.
Your hands do anything your brain tells them to do, so engage your brain first. Slow down and check for the hazards of each task. No matter how long you have been doing your job or how long you have done the same tasks at work, stay focused and follow 4 basic principles of hand safety. Number 1 is pinch points. Pinch points are everywhere. Machinery, tools, materials, anything with hinges, doors, toolboxes, and step ladders have pinch points. Pay attention and be aware of each pinch point. 2 is proper gloves. Your hands can get cuts, burns, bruises, and other injuries. Handling sharp-edged materials can cause cuts. Working with some materials can cause scrapes and torn skin. Hot surfaces can cause burns. Splinters come from metal and wood. Get the right glove for the job and inspect your gloves before each use. Gloves that are falling apart or that have tears or rips don't give good protection. 3 is machine guarding. Machine guards prevent accidental exposure to moving parts. Don't take them off or bypass them. Machine guards on portable tools like lawnmowers and handheld saws prevent sharp off fingers. Floor-mounted machines have safety guards in place for the same reason. Shut down the machine and make sure it is properly locked up. Any maintenance, outdoor metal jewelry like rings, wedding bands, or necklaces will keep machinery for normal daily use. Watch out for common hazards during everyday use. For example, don't pick up broken glass or sharp objects with your bare
Okay, so before I play this next video, let's talk a little bit about protecting our hands. Uh, when working at the warehouse, you have to wear gloves to protect yourselves because you're handling waste. You are sometimes lifting things that are broken and you're throwing them into a compactor. Sometimes you are emptying out items from a Gaylord so it's light enough for you to pick it up with your partner. And in doing so, you are putting your hands into a Gaylord that has broken material in it because whatever store it came from, they were just throwing things in there. I have seen cuts from glass. I've been stabbed by broken glass before. You have to be able to see what you're doing and you need to handle it properly. You can't just reach blindly into things. And that's going to lead to injury right there. You have to be able to see what you're grabbing. Um, so you really do have to be careful when you're lifting things. When you're lifting that Gaylord into the compactor, you're lifting from the bottom, which is where the pallet's at. A lot of times pallets have what? Splinters. Yes. I don't know about you, but I don't like splinters in my hands. I don't like splinters, period. They are a pain in the butt and they hurt like the dickens. So definitely want to wear the correct protective gloves. We definitely have upscaled the gloves that we use at the warehouse. So this is, a very good precaution. When you are at working at the store, if you're doing the retail processing, you're working with a tag gun. A tag gun has a very sharp needle with it, and when you're tagging clothes, you're going fast and you're trying to, you know, you could be tagging blindly into an item of clothes and your finger's on the other side. I've stabbed myself in the finger a couple times. It doesn't feel pretty. So you really have to be careful when you're taking stuff off the shelf. Sometimes it could slip, it could fall and break. You don't want to just start picking broken glass or ceramic shards off the floor with your hands. You want to go get the correct equipment to do that. A broom, a dustpan, or get some gloves to help you pick things up. You know, this could even go for just every normal day stuff, like the time my daughter dropped her cell phone on a big old ceramic tile and the screen just shattered. Oh, it was a beautiful thing as far as broken screens go. And me not in the thinking, I wasn't mad at her. It was an old used phone that was a hand me down. It was her first cell phone. So we weren't mad. We were going to replace it. I slid my finger over the screen to make sure that there was no sharp shards sticking up. Let me tell you something. Don't ever do that. I got a glass shard in my finger, and it took me a minute to get it out. That was not a smart move on my part. I wasn't thinking about safety. So we need to protect our hands. All right, protecting your muscles and joints.
Strains and sprains are painful injuries to muscles, tendons, and ligaments. They are common workplace and sports injuries that are usually caused by three things: overuse, improper technique, and lack of conditioning. Here's how they occur. Sprains are caused when the joint is forced into an unnatural position. For example, twisting a neck causes a sprain due to activity around the area of the joint is overstretched in position. Strains can occur when muscles are pulled, twisted, or torn. When someone tries to lift something before you get the muscle, this sudden pulling on the pulled muscle can cause a strain. So how do we avoid strains and sprains? Wear protective footwear to reduce stress on the ankle, foot, and leg joints. Make sure your shoes fit your feet properly. Avoid high-heeled shoes. A higher heel, you're more susceptible to a sprain. Avoid activities for which you're not trained. Always warm up and stretch before doing work, exercise, or sports. Use proper workout distraction equipment, especially if you're lifting. Slowly move the joints around and bend them movement. Have good flexibility by gently stretching muscles and joints before subjecting them to stress. Stand your joints. Properly align your arm and your legs. Twisting your limbs and your neck causes strains and sprains. When you feel good and tired, again is your body's way of telling you that it needs to rest. Remind yourself to plant your shoes
the ego should not be involved when it comes to lifting things properly. Yes, uh, people get very machismo, the male machismo, uh, when trying to prove to everybody that they're the man or the woman. I know some tough women too, um, and trying to prove that they've got what it takes to do the job by themselves, and it leads to injuries. Um, so you definitely want to beware of what you're doing, how your body is operating when you are lifting and moving around. Because I tell you what, sprains hurt much worse than actually breaking a bone. And it takes sprains a lot longer to heal than a break does. So you really need to protect things. I've had a fall where I damaged my wrist and my joint has not been the same since. And this was, 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago now. So you really have to be careful at what you're doing to help protect your muscles and joints. Being able to do things in a macho fashion does nothing to protect you or the people you're working with. It's only going to lead to injury, and it's going to be a long recovery process. All right, being safe in the heat. Now that we're coming up on the summer season, warehouse environments heat up. So you really need to know how to be careful when you're working in a hot environment.
A 24-year-old worker spent most of the morning welding steel inside a machine shop when he was in fact exposed to the heat. The outside temperatures topped 86 degrees and the heat in the unit already equivalent to about starting a hot sauna. So much that the back of the neck, all the way back to the neck, had about 152 degrees below freezing. The heat would be followed by a mild to moderate temperature of 52 degrees mild and 102 degrees September temperatures. Unlike the cold, after 11 days of intensive care, recovery medical treatment, elevation, toilet, healed, and fluid low temperature reached 95 degrees, breathing levels near ground, medical degrees time, so he waited to break and found after 52 days. His lungs were different than anyone before, and he had 5 at first uncontrollable asthma. While at high temperature, despite his physical activity, his chances of developing mild precautions had slowed down as the winter arrived. The national temperatures continued to rise, eventually crashing against exhaustion and serious medical bills. So, daily conditions ranging from adults over 65 years of age or those with high blood pressure and susceptible to stress. Stay properly hydrated with frequent meals. If you feel things could get bad for your health, get proper diet. Water intake must include water not more than a thirsty for body simply liquid water allows you to live. Vascular signs of dehydration, fatigue, bloodstains, eating habits, lightheadedness, and heart failure. This is backed by data obtained by the 500 people worldwide. These could be blood pressure, diabetes, pancreas, kidneys, lung, waist, lungs, which is bladder, equivalent to 7 to 10 degrees. So temperature of the fan is supposed to be stable. So sometimes you might have to tell you stay safe in our business. Thanks for watching and have a safe day.
This one's pretty serious. I, many years ago, um, have suffered heat exhaustion. I did not take enough water in, and I got the fatigue, I got the rash. I just wanted to lay down and go to sleep. So I've got firsthand experience there. I've gotten individuals that I have worked with who have health issues that really increase their susceptibility to heat exhaustion, heat stroke. Diabetics, it's huge and it's very important for them to stay properly hydrated when they're working in hot environments. And it's not enough to drink soda, coffee, water with flavored water packets in it. You need just straight up water, and it's nice if it's cold water, but just any kind of, straight from the tap, even water, just straight up drinking it. Like the guy in the video said, if you feel thirsty, you are dehydrated. You need to drink more water. And that's going to keep you safe in the summertime. Yeah, no one wants to take a break to get a drink of water. No one likes carrying a water bottle around with them. They think it makes them look, I don't know. Some people don't like to do that because they think it makes them look childish. But you know what? I'm carrying that water bottle with me and it's got regular water in it because I know that that's what my body needs. I don't get it, my body's going to shut down. And you might not be in a position. Uh, there was an individual had who has diabetes and was not drinking enough fluid, even though he swore up and down he was. Um, Staff should have been paying more attention and encouraging him to drink water, but this individual was lying about the water that he was taking in, and it was flavored water at that. So it wasn't, it had sugar content to it, even though they say, there's no sugar added, there's still some sort of artificial sweetener in there and a lot of other things that mimic the taste of sugar. So this individual, by the time they were halfway back to the workshop, were already going into a diabetic emergency because they were dehydrated. And, that's scary that you have an individual that you have to get to a place immediately. We were lucky to get to this individual on time and get them what they needed to turn that event around and get them out of danger. I don't want that for anybody. I don't even want that for my normal coworkers, let alone individuals that I serve. We all play a role in being safe in the heat. If you're working outside, you should have a hat on, you should have sunscreen on, you should be taking breaks out of the sun on a regular basis and getting fluid intake and everything. If you're working indoor in a hot environment, yeah, you may need to step outside it. A friend and former coworker of mine, back in the construction part of my days, was working at the animal crematorium here in Columbus. He would go outside to cool off because it was cooler outside on a 95-degree day than it was inside the building. But you have to do that. You got to do what you can to cool your body temperature down, because if it gets too high, you're going to get in trouble. So being safe at work is making sure that you're being safe in the heat as well. So, are you getting enough sleep? Who here thinks that sleep has anything to do with being safe at work? I think it has a lot to do with being safe at work. It has everything to do with even being safe in the car. A new phenomenon that there's been a lot of research on over the last 5 years is people not getting enough sleep driving a car. When you are driving a vehicle or handling heavy machinery with little to no sleep is the same has the same effect as driving while under the influence of alcohol or drugs. So, you definitely want to try to get as much sleep as you can before going to work, because you're working with heavy machinery. Say you're operating a compactor on a hot day with no sleep. What could issues happen? You get dehydrated, you could pass out, fall into the compactor, you could run your partner's foot over with the pallet jack because you're too tired and not able to focus on what you're doing, things are going to happen. People are going to get hurt, all from not getting enough sleep. All right, workplace safety, safety first rules. All right, stop mobile phone use. You know, you're definitely, like texting and driving. You could be operating a forklift and on your phone. It's not safe. Put the phones away. There'll be plenty of time to talk on your breaks and lunch breaks and after work is over for the day. Avoid elevated loads. This goes a lot for forklifts, or even if you're carrying something in front of your face, you can't see where you're going. And you definitely don't want to walk underneath something that's holding it up. Say there's somebody stopped a forklift and they've got a load high up on the forks. You don't want to walk underneath that. That could give way at any moment and fall on your head. Make sure that you're fit for work. Don't report to work or operate anything while you are under the influence of alcohol or drugs or sleep deprivation. Make sure the equipment you're using is maintained. If there is a problem with your equipment, if something is broken and not working correctly, you need to report it to your supervisor. Take a break. Take 5 minutes before you begin a task to assess the risks. Uh, control and eliminate the risk while performing the task. You definitely want to size up any work area that you're going to, and all that takes is just a quick 5 minutes to do. Uh, is there a checklist of what to do in an emergency? If not, talk to your immediate supervisor. What are the steps that you need to take if a workplace emergency happens? So that way you can say, yes, I am prepared. Fall prevention. Do not put yourself in a precarious position that could lead to you falling. It means if you're climbing a ladder, make sure that it's safely planted on the ground and you're not stepping on the last step on the top that says it is not a step. You're not reaching farther out than you need to get something, like this guy here in this picture on the forks of a forklift holding a box. That's not safe. He could fall from there. Know that you are accountable for reporting all accidents, near misses, and unsafe conditions. Responsible operations. Need to do, even if you are not operating heavy machinery, you are responsible for anything that you are operating. Is it a manual pallet jack that you're using? Is it the claw to help get the empty Gaylord boxes out of the compactor? Pallets, anything. Even if you are wearing a backpack vacuum cleaner, you are responsible for the correct operation of that item so you can return it back to the person that assigned it to you in operational order. You always want to stand in line of sight. Sometimes forklift drivers can scare me. I can imagine they scare many people too. And this goes way back in the day when I used to direct traffic. Always keep moving vehicles in your line of sight. You never want to turn your back on them because I don't know about you, but I don't trust anybody but myself to know what's coming where. I have a better chance of getting out of the way if I can see it coming than if my back is turned to it. And the last one really doesn't have anything to do with what we do, but the traffic and safety rules for that. Um, Workplace injuries by the numbers. Every 7 seconds, a worker's injured on the job. 510 per hour, 12,600 a day. It just keeps going up. 104 million production days lost due to work-related injuries in 2017. That's a lot of production days. What are the most common types of injuries workers that are keeping workers away from work? Sprains, strains and tears, soreness or pain, cuts, lacerations, or punctures. All of those are extremely avoidable if we are being safe and we're doing our proper assessments and following correct protocols. The top 3 workplace injury events resulting in lost work days. Overexertion, which includes lifting or lowering on repetitive motions. Some jobs require repetitive motions, but they are going to teach you the proper procedures on how to do them safely. You want to avoid bending, reaching, and twisting when lifting, and you want to take frequent short breaks. That doesn't mean stand for 15 minutes and work for 15 minutes. Follow your procedures at your job site. Contact with objects and equipment. Let the 26% of injuries, struck by or against object or equipment, caught in or compressed by equipment or objects, struck, caught, or crushed in collapsing structure, equipment, or material. So many different things involved there. Number 3, slips, trips, and falls. The majority of these are avoidable if you are paying attention to where you are going, not being in a hurry, and just, head on a swivel, eyes moving around. What's going on? You need to pay attention. So the top 5 occupations with the largest number of workplace injuries resulting in days away from work. Public service, including firefighters and police. Transportation and shipping. Manufacturing and production. Installation, maintenance and repair, and construction. All of those deal with, either the public, motor vehicles, heavy machinery, or any kind of tool. So we know that employers should take action to spare workers needless pain and suffering, but it's also on the workers as well. They have to pay attention, they have to follow the procedure. Yes, if the job site employer is doing something unethical that leads to an injury, yeah, we're going to protect you as much as we can and we'll go to bat for you. But if the negligence is on your part because you weren't paying attention or if you didn't follow the proper safety guidelines, that's a whole other issue. And I don't want to see you go down that road. Oh, where are we at here? Oh, proper safety training. This was a funny little clip that I found, and I believe this might be close to the end here. So let's play it. So, was that a proper safety training? Oh, don't be Michael Scott. Do not do a job that you have not been properly trained to do. Do not operate machinery that you are not qualified to operate. And never kick a ladder out from underneath somebody who is using it and say, "How's it hanging?" This was just a perfect example of how not to conduct yourself during a safety training. So, thank you for joining us today. I hope you took something away from this and know that we do take safety serious around here and we promote independence as much as possible because that is a huge life skill for everyone and it's a human right. But with that independence becomes responsibility, and that responsibility is being safe at work for your job because you can't earn money if you're at home because you got hurt. So, thank you for joining us today, and I hope you have a good day. Thank you.